We'll talk about something else, but mostly just wrestling. It's Gimmick Talk. Salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Gimmick Talk podcast. I'm your host, the fallen artist Dirk Douglas, and I'd like to invite you on a journey to get to know some of the most over-the-top personalities in professional wrestling today. Now, this past Saturday night, I had the privilege of not only attending, but doing commentary for the Primetime Entertainment and Coastal Atlantic Grappling Entertainment Cage Back to School show. What a time it was, not only for the fans in the building, but the community. There was a cookout out front, and they gave out school supplies to all the kids of the community, and it was just such a great time. See, guys, I had mentioned to Watchy, the owner of Cage, big shout out to him, that I wanted to do a podcast, and he came through big time with some very big guests, because on the very first episode of the Gimmick Talk podcast, I had the opportunity to sit down with the voice of Ring of Honor, Caprice Coleman, and the legendary Cham. I was a little bit nervous when he told me I was interviewing Caprice and that was going to be my first interview. I mean, come on. He's like the best commentator on TV today. But that nervousness went away right away. He was so down to earth. He's such a positive guy. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and shoot right to that podcast. Here is my interview with Caprice Coleman. Gimmick Talk. Okay, we're rolling. Caprice Coleman, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's an honor to be here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Yeah, I hope you are.
I'm excited about tonight. Getting to work somebody that I haven't seen in a long time. I hope he's ready for me because I'm definitely ready for him.
That's right. You're working Champagne tonight. First name Cham, last name Payne.
Pound for pound, the greatest one in the game.
It goes back to the Omega days when you guys started.
Yeah, man. This is definitely a flashback, and he says he's in great shape now. I know I'm in great shape. I'm the ageless one, so we'll just see what Champagne brings. I wish he was some type of wine, because wine gets better with time. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, all this experience. Between you, there's got to be thousands and thousands of matches.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely with me. I don't know how many matches he's been part of, though. Like I said, he's been on break. So he kind of has an advantage because, like, you could easily look up my stuff. But to find his stuff, you have to really search for it because he's been out for a long time. But he's back on it, man, and I'm proud of him. I'm excited about it, but he's not facing the same Caprice Coleman that he was looking at 20 years ago.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's not the same one. I got a rookie body, a veteran mind, a silver tongue. He's facing the ageless one, you know what I mean?
Man, you've been doing this so long.
Yeah, 27 years.
What keeps you coming back to these smaller shows?
I think this is where it's made at, man. These smaller shows, just like a comedian that can do, Madison Square Garden, or that can do Apollo or whatever like that. There's those home places they go down to make sure that they still got it. And it's giving back, you see people like Watchy that are running their promotions, people that you worked with a long time ago, and they're still in the business somehow in some way, and it's kind of like a brotherhood type thing.
Yes. Yeah, it is, and we're doing a lot for the community today. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, giving out book bags,
notebooks.
Yeah, that's what got me here, man.
How's the transition been for you going from wrestler to commentator?
Actually, man, it was a smoother transition than I imagined because I didn't even know when it happened. I've always been a talker, and I was feuding with somebody, and the production team or the writers were just like, hey, we're just going to have you on commentary for the person that you're feuding with. And I was just on commentary, and then when I came in the back, there was like, what happened out there? And I thought I did something wrong. They was like, that was amazing. It was like, maybe you should be a commentator one day. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just trying to keep my job.
Right.
And so it got to a point to where I would bring my wrestling gear in a suit, and I would be wrestling and doing commentary on the same show. And then after a while, it just got popular enough to where I was just doing commentary. They gave me a talk show, Coleman's Pulpit. And then it just kind of went on from there. And I don't know, man, it's a blessing, bro. Everybody talks about how good I am, and I don't see it. I just thank God for it. I know it's a gift from God. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I did this and I did that and I did the third. I just go out here and I do my best, man. And I love this sport, and I believe it comes across that way. Because I've seen so many do it, man, and I think some of them do it and they feel like it's to go from wrestling to commentary is like a step down. But
Right.
for me, it's not, because I'm telling the story to the people that are in the ring, and I know the story because I've been in the ring for 27 years, and I'm still in the ring. And so I know what's going on inside that ring, and I feel like I can paint a picture to the audience so they can understand what's going on too. And it's an art to that, man. You gotta love it, you gotta want it, and I have both of them.
Right. So I just started. This is my third time doing commentary.
Okay.
I was in the ring 16 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Blew out my neck.
Pull out your neck.
Yeah, my neck's pretty screwed up.
Ooh, okay.
And I sat at home for a year. And I just missed it. This was my Saturday nights. I did a couple shows ago. They said, "Hey, would you mind doing commentary?"
Yeah.
And I just loved it.
Yeah.
It was fabulous. What advice would you give me or anyone starting in commentary?
I would say make it about the people inside the ring. We have so many people that are doing commentary, and if you listen to the commentary, the whole time they're talking about themselves and stuff they used to do, and how they could beat this person, and how that wouldn't have worked on them, and it wouldn't have worked on, if they on their heyday, it never would have got across to them, or they never would have been able to do that to the person that's sitting at the table. But it's not about that person sitting at the table. It's the person's job at the table to get that person inside the ring over.
Right.
And talk about what the athlete is doing. It's like, man, and if it comes to you, you're like, man, I've taken that move before, or I've been in that position before. That hurts. I've been in that position before, and it's confusing. It makes you feel like this on your leg, and you need to breathe, and you can relate to it in that way instead of relating to it like, oh, that wouldn't have worked with me because I was better than that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because then it's tearing apart from the action people are seeing, and you're sitting down. So somebody in the audience or whoever's hearing it is like, well, dang, the commentator is saying he's better than the wrestlers, then why am I watching the wrestlers? You know what I'm saying? And I feel that commentary is the conscience of pro wrestling. And just like your conscience, man, if you go against your conscience and something happens wrong, you're like, man, something told me not to do that. You know what I'm saying? But if you go with your conscience and it's working, it's easier to go with your conscience because it's all flowing. It's the same thing with commentary. If I'm pointing out the good stuff, unless you see something horribly bad, you're gonna go with whatever I say because I'm your conscience. You know what I'm saying? And so I could say pink elephant, you're gonna be looking for the pink elephant. You get what I'm saying? And so if you keep in mind that you're that conscience of what's going on there, then why would you paint a conscience of something bad in the ring? Unless it's the bad guy and you're talking about how bad he is, like he's doing something wrong, or you're pointing that out. But why would you point out a misfit in an athlete or something that that is not attractable or something like that the audience would look at and be like, oh, I don't like this guy because he's not a professional. You get what I'm saying? Oh, he's so out of shape, or he's short, or he's skinny, or he couldn't pick nobody. He doesn't like he could really fight. Why would you say that? These are the athletes that you're talking about. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so my advice would be make it about the people inside the ring, and less about you, unless it's something you can relate to.
And I imagine a million times you've been asked what your favorite match was. So I'm going to go with, what's the favorite match you ever called?
Oh, man. I don't know. I would say the matches that stood out to me the most would have to be the pure tournament matches that we did during the pandemic. Because the pure Ring of Honor, we brought back the we had a pure tournament to where there were rules and all, and Rick Abani and I were able to sit down and tell the rules and actually call out wrestling. There was no crowd, there was no response from the crowd or anything like that. It was just two people in the ring wrestling and two commentators. And when we were able to do that, we were able to talk about the art of professional wrestling. And I believe there's an art to it. And when you have two people in the ring that have mastered the craft, it's a beautiful thing. I think of matches like Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham. When they had the Masters of the Craft, one of the shows we had where they went 90 minutes. Yeah. And people were standing on their feet. To be able to witness something like that. Even matches that I've called recently at AEW with Claudio, just seeing athletes perform, and they're performing at a higher level than you've ever performed at, but you understand what they're doing and you're able to articulate it to the audience so they understand it. It's an art, man, and it all works together. And just like you said, when you got injured, you still love the sport. I believe the best parts of this sport are people that are fans of this sport or work in this sport in different areas in it. You got a wrestling fan holding the camera, he's gonna catch the best angles. You get what I'm saying? You got a cameraman holding the angle, he's just doing the job. You get what I'm saying? You got a ex-wrestler holding a microphone, he knows what questions to ask. You got an ex-wrestler that's a referee, you see what I'm saying? They have the love for it already, and so they're just playing their part and playing their role. And I think that's what works best is when somebody already has an understanding of it, instead of somebody just walking in and saying, oh, I can be an announcer, I can be a commentator. And not saying that's bad, but it just works better when it's somebody that has that experience in the ring, they already tried to wrestle. They wrestled for a while, it didn't work out for them, but they still love the sport. You see what I'm saying? Because there's a respect factor that's there that you can't take away.
Because, pro wrestling for me, it's always just felt like home. It's been that place where I felt like I belong. Mm-hmm. I feel like almost everyone's accepted here.
Yeah.
I've never really had problems with people not being accepted in pro wrestling. No matter how weird you are, there's a place for you.
Well, I think pro wrestling is the land of the misfits, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's people that don't fit in normal society, but they fit inside a wrestling ring and they become a commodity, because they may be a misfit to normal society, but then there's a whole lot of society that can relate to that misfit, and that's what makes somebody popular. They become, have a lot of fans because the fans can relate to them, just like the Stone Cold Steve Austins and all the people that hate their boss. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you can relate to that character, and so your attention draws to that person.
And I know you don't got much time, but I want to thank you. I want to bring up right quick your little videos you post. You'll post some really positive things, man.
Okay.
And for one person, sometimes when I'm having a bad day, it seems like that's when I'll run across one of your videos.
Oh, man.
And it just brings me up, and I know it's bringing a bunch of people up, too. And I thank you for that, man. I thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, I was called to preach when I was 14 years old, and I've been in ministry most of my life, and I'm not always behind the pulpit. And one of my chaplains told me when I was overseas in Kuwait, he said, preaching is not always behind the pulpit. He said, preach the word, preach the word, preach the word. And if you have to, use words. So it's about the way you live every day. And sometimes I need to encourage myself, but sometimes I see something, I'm like, man, this might encourage somebody else. And you put it out there, and I'm not trying to Bible beat nobody or anything like that. But sometimes, like you said, somebody's having a bad day, and they're just scrolling social media, and they see something positive. It reminds them that things aren't so bad, or it gives them enough strength to go, and it gives them hope, man. And that's all it is, man. It's giving somebody hope to be able to go to the next day, putting a smile on somebody's face. I don't mind doing that, man, because I have joy on the inside and didn't come by myself. It was a gift from God. You know what I'm saying? So I try to spread it. And I don't look for it. Like, I don't get up and say, oh, what motivation can I do today? Or what thing can I throw out there to make it? If something touches my heart, I throw it out there. I might throw a joke out there. I might throw a video out there. I might do something that has nothing to do with it. It's just the versatility. I'm able to put it on the platform and people respect it. And I believe there's a whole lot more to see on social media than people hurting each other, or people mad at each other, or people talking about things that insult each other, stuff like that. And so I just want to be that one. If I have something to stand up about, I'm going to stand up. But for the most part, I'm going to let you see something that you're not used to seeing. That's going to have a positive effect on you. So, yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for letting me know that.
Yeah, it really, 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 it just helps sometimes when you're having a bad day. Like you said, so much is negative on social media. I don't like just reading people argue.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And sometimes the argument doesn't even matter what the argument is about. You see the hatred of people come out in the argument. You could be arguing about the simplest thing, and then the longer the argument gets, the insults start coming out. And it's like, wow, why, was it really called for to say all that? And why, you know what I'm saying? How personal things get so fast. Because I believe people are hurting, man. But it's crazy that, the most viral videos are videos that people never admit to watching, like cat videos and little babies laughing. Those are the most viral videos because no matter how mean you are, there's something that can make you smile. There's something that can touch your heart. And if your heart could be touched, that means you're touchable. Nobody's untouchable, so you can either be touched in a positive way or a negative way. I choose to touch people in a positive way, because there's enough negativity out there, and I believe that people feel it and they know it's real, it's something they start to draw to. And you can draw to a light faster than you can draw to darkness,
I'm a big proponent of the attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for every single day. just try to stay positive. You think positive things, good things happen.
Yeah, and it's like it's easier said than done because sometimes things don't feel great or whatever. But it's having that mindset to look at because I feel like you're gonna find whatever you're looking for. You know, and if you wake up like, oh, this is gonna be a bad day, you're gonna look for everything bad that's happening to show you that it's a bad day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you're looking for the good stuff, you'll see the good stuff that happened. You know, there's a quick story about I don't know how much time we got, but it was like a king that overtook a new land. And he had 2 of his land surveyors to go out. And he had his first land surveyor to go out. He said, hey man, I want you to find all the weeds in this land that we just overtake. Tell me how many weeds are in this land, you know. And the surveyor goes out and finds as much weeds as he can. He comes back and says, hey, what's your report? And the surveyor was like, man, there's weeds all over this daggone land, man. They got this type of weed and that type of weed to eat this up and that type of weed to eat this up. I don't know about what kind of land you took over, man, because it's infested with weeds. And then you had another land surveyor come out. To find all the roses you can find, all the flowers, all that you can find, and you come back and tell me a report on that. And the land surveyor comes back, man, there's so many flowers around here. You got lilies, you got daffodils, you got roses, you got violets, you got all these. Man, this king is overtaken by flowers. There's flowers everywhere. And the moral of the story is they went out to find what they was looking for, and they found 2 totally different things. And if you have that mindset, what you're trying to look for, you're gonna find what you're looking for.
Right.
And a lot of times our mind is unintentional finding negative, and so it's easy to find negative when we see it. But if we start looking for what's out there, we just have to be intentional in finding it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me. Anything you want to plug? What you got coming up?
Oh man, I don't know. I stay busy, man. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Caprice Coleman on all of them. And that's to keep up with it. I have certain things. I'm headed to ATL tomorrow. I just got back from Grand Rapids, Michigan this morning. Came here, man. I just keep riding with it, man. My son and I are doing commentary now. Coleman brought me assistant, so look out for that. I'm still wrestling. I'm still doing commentary for Ring of Honor, AEW. I just love it, man. I love all of it. The most versatile man in the sport. Every bit of it, man. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be in good shape. Honor to see friends that are taking care of themselves and little reunions like this. Trying to make it worth it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then seeing, I know y'all, whoever's listening to this podcast, like, man, all these gunshots. You know, these are young people in the ring learning how to wrestle while we're sitting here doing this podcast. And it's like the future is going on right now, and I think that's what it's all about. So I love all of it.
It's good to see it continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Caprice.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on here. You have a good
You too. I gotta say, man, you're my favorite commentator.
Thank you.
You always make the show better.
I appreciate
Always.
that. I appreciate it. Hey, it's your turn to do it next.
Hey, I'm trying.
All right. You have a good day.
Thank you so much. Gimmick Talk.
All right.
And Champagne, welcome to the show. That's first name Cham, last name Payne.
Thank you for that, my brother.
How you doing?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you.
I appreciate it, man. Matter of fact, if I was doing any better, I'd be you. No.
You know, I want to start it off with a story, and this is a real story. So I must have been 13, 14, little fat kid. You know, always wanted the girls. And I was watching daytime television one day, and it was one of those talk shows that Jenny Jones, and it was, hey, I was a dork in high school, but now I'm awesome, and out came Champagne, and I was like, hey, that's what I want to be. That's...
You should have aspired to be something a little bit better than Champagne, but actually, I was on Jenny Jones, but that wasn't a Jenny Jones. That was a Sally Jesse Raphael show. And I did Montel Williams too, but yeah, that was Sally Jesse. I got beat up in high school and had my high school bully out there. Was that the show?
That was the show.
That was the show.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I was a dork in high school, but maybe look at me now was the name of the show. And that was a lot of fun. I came out in my gear, you know, and Sally said, well, Marty dresses a little different now. And the guy out there waiting for me from high school was like, oh, really? He said, yeah, I say that he does. When I came out, I had the pink on, so he got a kick out of that. I think everybody did. But that was a lot of fun, man. I remember that show. It was great. Had a good time.
But that goes to, you know, how what wrestling does for us as kids. You know, I watched the guys. I was very aware of Omega. growing up in these parts, those are the shows I went to. I knew who Champagne was. I knew who the Hardy Boys were. First time I seen the Hardy Boys on TV, I was like, hey, it's the Hardy Boys. I'm used to seeing them at the local shows. And you're back doing a local show after doing hundreds and hundreds and thousands of matches. What keeps you coming back to the smaller shows?
Well, I'll tell you, man, I always wanted to be something, when I was coming up. Man, I loved Evel Knievel was my favorite childhood hero, was Evel Knievel. I wanted to do something crazy in my life, and I met a guy in Bass Gym one day, and I was 24, he was like 18 or 19. He goes, hey, man, you should come to my house. I got a wrestling ring over there, man, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? I went to his house, and he had a trampoline with garden hoses going around it for the ropes out in the middle of some trees, and he thought it was he called it a wrestling ring. I'm like, holy cow. And it was Matt Hardy, as a matter of fact. Him and Jeff, and they had 6-foot-high plastic wrapped around these trees like an arena. They had it spray painted on the inside, so it looked like an arena. And they would film these shows and sell them to the local video store, and they would rent the tapes out to people.
Right.
I'm like, this is crazy, man. And I laughed at first, and then I started kind of getting into it. Then we met a guy. He had a half wrestling ring, half trampoline. We wrestled at the fairs on that. Finally, one day I said, look, man, we all made a decision. We got to make this a regular ring, So we did. Made it a regular ring, and it all went from there. But that's how I got into wrestling, Matt. We just happened to be talking at the gym. And, he knew I looked like the kind of guy to probably want to get into something like that. So, and it all worked out, man. And to answer your question, the reason I come back to these shows, I've been out of business for 10 years, until 2 years ago. I got a little girl now, she's 6, and she had never seen me wrestle in the ring. And I said, you know what, I'm going to come back and wrestle a couple shows for her. Then I got that fever again, and I want to start wrestling some more. So I've been at it about 2 years now again. And got another little girl, she just turned 1 year old yesterday. So I'm still producing babies, and I'm still wrestling.
So you got to stay around long enough for her to see you in the ring.
And, I know Father Time doesn't chalk up any losses. He doesn't, but you got to surrender to him. I'm not going to do that hopefully for quite a while. I'm not going to surrender to Father Time. His win-loss record is all wins. But I'm going to wait a while before I let him get me, I hope.
And it's great having you here. I saw you in the ring earlier. You can hear the kids bumping around. It's great having someone with your much experience here and around.
I appreciate it, man. Well, you know what? I tell people this, man, they ask for advice, and I give them advice, and I said, let me tell you something. I didn't get wisdom from doing it right. I get wisdom from doing it wrong. So I got a lot of wisdom. You know what I mean? That's where wisdom comes from. And, I got my life right about 7-8 years ago. I got right with the Lord, got to church, married my preacher's daughter. Everything started going great, man. My life is good. And I want to punish myself by getting in the ring a little bit. But it's a lot of fun, man. It gives me something to do. It gives me a reason to work out. It gives me a reason to keep going. And, like I said, I want to stay, like you said, I want to stay young for my kids. You know what I mean? I want to be that dad out in the yard playing ball with them. And my little girl, she just got through playing t-ball this year, and I was one of her coaches. We went undefeated. She's a ball player, man. I'm so proud, I do all this stuff, but I'm prouder of that than I am of anything I've accomplished.
Well, my youngest son just got into the early college program.
Wow.
And it's amazing just how happy it made me to see how excited he was to go in there. I'm taking this college. He's going to come out of the 12th grade with an associate's degree.
Wow.
With transferable credits to go to any North Carolina university.
That's got to make you proud, man.
I can't explain.
Yeah.
I've been on cloud 9 for a week.
There's no greater joy to see your kids succeed. You know what I mean? I tell people that.
And my wife always tells me, she's a teacher, she tells me I've lived a very interesting life because I've got all these wrestling stories.
Right.
And you, for one, have lived an interesting life. You used to be The Rock's personal assistant.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question I hope that no one's ever asked you.
Okay.
What screw-up did you do that made you think that, hey, I'm going to get fired?
Well, here's the thing. When I got hired with The Rock, he called me, and it's a long story. I don't really have time to go through it all right now, but he called me up and said, look, man, you ain't never asked me for nothing. I always wanted to be my friend. He said, now I'm going to ask you for something. You want to work with me for a little while on a movie. He said, it's not going to be a full-time gig. He said, but I'd like for you to come work with me. I think Vince McMahon did you dirty, didn't hire you. He said, so I want you to come have a little fun. He said, can you stand making $2,500 a week, all expenses paid? And I said, let me check. Yep, I can stand that. And it's a good story getting into all that, but it'll take me a while, and we'll do that on a next podcast. But yeah, it was great, man. And I ran into him in California. I was doing some stunts on a video game, and it went from there. And then he called me 3 months later, and we hung out a little bit. And I'll tell you what, one of the best dudes in the world, man. Down to earth. If he met you right now, he'd act like he knew you forever. You know, that type of dude, that type of person, just good-hearted. You know what I mean? And the first night I was working for him, I was in Vancouver. We were in the VIP section of a club. The music's bumping. I'm up about 5 feet above everybody on the dance floor in the VIP, and everybody's looking up there because they see The Rock, and they're drinking with the crew. And Rock comes up to me, and he goes, hey, brother, welcome to the family. And I about started crying. I mean, it touched me because here I am in another country, working on a movie set, making $2,500 a week, staying in a 5-diamond hotel, in an apartment in a 5-diamond hotel. Everything is paid for, and I'm working for The Rock. And I'm like, this is a dream. This ain't happening. And then I'm already feeling all that inside me. And he puts his hand on my shoulders and says, hey, brother, welcome to the family. When he said, welcome to the family, I put my finger up and said, hold on a minute, man, I'll be right back. I had to walk off and come back. If I didn't, I'd have cried, you know what I mean? But it just touched me when he said that. And then I said, brother, thank you for this. He said, there'll be plenty more times, brother, plenty more times. And I worked for about 2.5 years with him. And, and that was about the reason I stopped. The time I stopped working for him was my mama called me. I was in Prague. We're working on a movie called, what was the name of the movie? Jesus, I can't think of the name. Oh, Doom. Doom was the name of the movie. And we're working on that movie, and my mom calls and says, hey, son, do you remember this girl? And I said, yeah, I remember. I dated her, Mom. She goes, well, she says she has your baby. I said, Mom, it's been like 12 years since I've seen her. She goes, well, it's funny you say that because he's 12 years old. I tell Rock, he said, bro, you better go home and check that out. Went home, checked it out. I had a son that was 12 years old. Wow. 27, 28 right now. And just couldn't believe it. And I was scared to death. So Rock said, man, enjoy your son for a while, man. We'll get back together. And we never did. And right at the end there, Rock was telling me his wife was like saying, what does Marty do anyway? Y'all just hanging out. She said, y'all hanging out at the clubs and partying. And I think she thought I was an influence on him. So anyway, but I knew it wasn't going to last forever when I started. Yeah. You know, and I got 2.5 years out of it, which is a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, it is.
It was a heck of a ride. I'm riding on private jets and limos and meeting movie stars left and right, man. And I'm not a big. I don't go crazy when I meet somebody like that. I'll treat you just like I'm treating Britney Spears, you know, whoever, Justin Timberlake. I met both of them one night. I met everybody, man. Every superstar you can imagine. I met them, and Rock says to me one night, he goes, dude, you don't get excited to meet people, do you? I said, I do, but they're just regular people to me. I said, I ain't trying to be bold and act like I'm all that. I said, but man, I just don't get, you know, they got a break. You know what I mean? Anybody can get a break. Yeah. A lot of people's got talent. But so I just tickled him that I didn't really get excited. I'd meet people and be like, hey man, how you doing? You know, just chilling. I didn't really care, you know. So I don't get overwhelmed by meeting a superstar or Hollywood actress or actor or something. It don't faze me in that way. But it was a lot of fun working for that dude, man. And he was always humble, you know. He said, we riding, I was filming him one time, we was getting on this private jet, and he goes, we're riding private today, we'll probably have our fat A's back on public next week. And but, you know, he was making money hand over fist, man. But he was just so humble, you know. And that's why I like that dude. You know? Yeah. Just so humble. And helped me to be more humble, you know what I mean? So it was fun, man, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, man, life's about experiences.
Yeah.
I've always felt that way, you know. You can get money, but money comes and goes, but those experiences can't be taken away.
The stories you can tell your grandkids and your kids and whatever, you know, You can't take that away. Nobody can ever take that from me. You know what I mean? They can take a lot of things from me. They can take stuff out of my house, take my car, take this, take that, but they can't take my history. You know what I mean?
Right.
My history is his story. His story. That's my story. So, So I'll have to say I have had an interesting life. I'm 54 years old, and I got a 1-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old daughter and a 28-year-old son. That's not normal. But God had a plan for me, you know what I mean? As long as I'm staying within His plans, man, I'm good to go. You know, it's going to work out.
It sure is. Hey, man, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me for a minute.
Anytime, man.
Tonight you got Caprice Coleman. I talked to him earlier.
Yes, sir.
Goes back to the Omega days.
Yep.
Or tonight, Caprice Coleman, are you going to... It's your night, right?
Well, I hope so. Hey, I'll tell you what, he's a heck of a competitor, man. He's done well for himself, and I don't have any bad feelings toward Caprice, but I'm not coming here to let him beat me. You know, I'm going to give him everything I got. And he even said that on his promo. He said, everybody submits to Father Time, but you have to submit first.
Right.
I hadn't submitted yet. When you submit, you quit fighting. I'm still fighting. So we'll see what happens, man. He's 45, I'm 54. We're gonna see. We're gonna mix it up. And inside that ring, age don't matter anyway.
No, it doesn't. Before we go, I got to ask you, what's your favorite match?
My favorite match of all time?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. Man, I know probably everybody says this. I guess it was the WrestleMania 2 with Hogan and Andre.
Yep.
When Hogan picked him up and hurt his back for life, his back still messed up from that. But he picked him up. I don't care if he kicked or what, he still picked the man up. I just thought that was great. I also thought, what was my other match? It was a WrestleMania. Oh, Steve Austin and The Rock. That was awesome. And I've got several, but probably Hogan and Andre. It was so classic. You know, I have to give them that. I'm gonna stay with that one. That's probably my favorite. Yeah.
And that goes to show, I think Triple H said the other day, he got a lot of heat for saying wrestling's not about the moves. It's about those moments.
Right.
You know,
the moments, yeah.
You can tell a lot with very little.
Yes. I say that to all these guys in the business today. They're all out here, they're trying to do move after move after move after move. Tell a story, brother. Ric Flair could get in the ring and do a rest hold for 20 minutes and never get one boring. Because he wasn't boring. He had the crowd the whole time, no matter what he was doing. But he sold and he told a story. And the storytelling today is going to the wayside. It's move after move after move.
Yeah.
It's spot monkeys. Everybody wants to be a spot monkey. And those are cool, but at the right time.
Yeah.
I had a kid ask me one time, he said, how was my match? I said, well, the first thing you did when you walked in from the curtain is you got on the top rope and did a backflip. I said, now everybody knows you can do that. So when you do it in a match, it don't mean nothing. They're not excited.
You're exactly right.
You know what I mean? Don't do that. Tell a story. Lead up to that.
Yeah.
A good storyteller, I hear some people tell a story and they want to tell you the finish of the story before they tell the story. Tell the story and work up to the finish so people get excited. You've already told me, well, here's what happens at the end, but now let me tell you how they got there. No. Let's start here. Build it, build it, build it, build it. Boom. There's the end. That's a story. That's why people get involved. That's why people get excited. Don't give them the finish before the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't stand that. And I can't stand spot monkeys that don't make there's a psychology to wrestling. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know that. You got to take that crowd on a roller coaster ride. You got to get them involved. You got to get them saying, you know, I made a difference in that match because I was screaming for my guy. And he got crazy when I started screaming for him. Man, they feel like they was a part. When they feel like they're a part of your match, man, you got them. That's it.
I feel like that just clicks one day. You just one day,
Yep.
It just kind of clicks and you just kind of get it. For me, I was in it 8-9 years before I got it.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't get it right
started
away.
to understand.
Right.
You know?
Me too. Same way. I was the same way, bro. Me and Matt and Jeff Hardy, Shannon Moore, Joey Abs, we didn't know how to wrestle. We was teaching ourselves. And when we go to shows, people say, hey man, don't do that. Don't do it like that. We were just self-trained in the backyard type of wrestlers that had to learn the hard way. Like you said, you don't get it. Like I'll say this to people. Boys don't become men till they're about 25 or 26,
Right.
and they start really realizing what a man is. You think you're a man at 18. You're a boy. I'm telling you, most people are boys. There might be some that are men then, but I'm telling you, you don't fully understand life and girls too, till about 25, 26, and then you appreciate your dad told you this and that, and you thought he was an idiot. He wasn't such an idiot after all, you know. He knew what he was talking about. And he told you one day you'd understand this, and that day, that when it clicked, just like wrestling, when it clicked, you're like, holy cow, the light bulb just went off, and you're like, wow, there it is.
Yeah.
This is why I do this, this is why I do that. And like you said, man, it clicks one day, and it's like, you know, a light switch. It's awesome.
Oh man, I remember where I was at. I was at the Falcons Children's Home. We were in a tag match, and me and my partner both hit a move at the same time, and I went to pose, and I didn't know he was behind me. And I looked, and he was posing too, and I was like, wait. And at that moment, everything just kind of slowed down. Beforehand,
right.
My matches would be a blur.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then it just kind of slowed down, and
you can see.
yeah, I could take it breath by breath and just go.
It's like a blind man getting a sight. All of a sudden, you know, oh my, wow, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I've been there, bro. I've been there. I come up the wrong way, but I did learn. You know what I mean? So it all worked out. You know, and right now I'm not trying. If somebody was offering me a job at a big federation, of course I'd take it. But it's not like I'm trying to break my neck to get there right now. If it happens, it happens. If it's in the Lord's will, I'll do it. But because them cats making a lot of money.
Yeah,
you know?
they are.
Yeah. I went out with Matt and Jeff on a weekend excursion about 3 or 4 months ago, and the money they made that weekend was unreal. Just on the side money.
Yeah.
That ain't their contracts. And I was like, man, Lord, have mercy. Can't imagine.
But those guys are still going hard.
Yeah.
Matt and Christian the other night.
Yeah.
Did you see that match?
I saw that match, man. That was great. And I have to give Matt this. Matt has kept himself relevant all these years.
Yes.
30 years. He's kept this is his
Yes.
30th year in the business. He's kept himself relevant because he stays hot on that social media. Every social media avenue he can go down, he's on it. He's on Twitter, he's on Twitch, he's on, you name it, Facebook, whatever, man. Everything. He's on it, man. It's unreal. And I'm like, wow. But he's busy.
Yeah.
And that's why he stayed relevant, though. And I have to I take my hat off to him. He's done well, man. And Jeff's not a business guy. He lets Matt do the business, and he's the talent, and Matt's the business. You know,
Right.
They're both talented, but I'm just saying that's just the way I look at that situation.
Jeff's more the artist.
He's more the artist. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's that free spirit. You know
Right.
what I mean? And he just does what he does, and Matt does the business. You know, and Matt can work too. Matt's a great worker in the ring. Matt's a mad scientist, man. He's a ring general. He can get you straightened out in the ring if you're not knowing where you're at. He'll straighten you out. He'll let you know, and he's good to talk to you and stuff. Great dude in the ring, man. I'm telling you, he's come a long way, and I'm proud of both of those kids, man. I'm proud of Shannon and all the guys that came out of Omega, man. Caprice, man. Wow, look at what he's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And speaking of Caprice, you got Caprice tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be a knockdown drag out. Like I said, man, I come here and I'm gonna show him respect. I know he's gonna show me respect, but I'm here to win. I'm not here to bow down. You know, yeah, we can shake hands and be nice and all that, but when it comes right down to it, champagne comes to deliver the pain tonight. I'm bringing the pain.
And I'm looking forward to see it again, Marty. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
sitting
bro.
down with
Yeah,
me.
man.
It looks like
Anytime.
they're starting to lower the lights, fix the lights. I know you got to get ready.
Yes, sir.
Again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We'll do it again.
And that's a wrap on the very first episode of the Gimmick Talk podcast. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you to Cage for having me out the other night and making this a reality. Thank you to Caprice, Coleman, and Champagne for sitting down with me. And if you guys want to support this podcast, all you got to do is subscribe, throw a like on there, comment of who you want to hear on this podcast next. And I'm going to keep coming back with interviews. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.